Look, I'm not quite to the point where I would say or think that we can't rely at all on elected leaders in Congress or in the Senate, governors. Not quite there. But I will say this. We need to really put some pressure on in an effort to rely upon those with political power, but also prosecutorial power. Attorneys general, district attorneys in various municipalities. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I've got two clips for you. One is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, someone who is not a shrinking violet, someone who is not wilting under the pressure of fascism. He's absolutely pledging and endeavoring to hold accountable these execution squads, these masked secret police in Minnesota who have executed 2 American citizens. Even with all the roadblocks, in fact. Roadblocks that are, some would think, insurmountable, like not having the identities. The government will not release to state authorities just the names of the officers, of the agents who pulled the trigger in the execution, under my estimation, of Alex Preddy, and also the execution of Renee Good. He was at a town hall yesterday hosted by CNN, Keith Ellison, and he said as much, that he does not have the identities. And he's been in law enforcement, he's been in the position, he's been in Congress, he's been in the federal government, he's been at the state level as Attorney General for decades and has never seen anything like that. And then I'm going to play for you the Philadelphia area district attorney who is now pledging to hunt and prosecute these Nazi ICE agents. This is the energy we need from people who actually hold prosecutorial power. First, let's start with Keith Ellison.
Do you actually have the names of the individuals who shot Alex Preddy? If not, how can you investigate someone for potential criminal activity if you don't know who they are?
This is an excellent question. And I mean, it really speaks to the fact that it's rather absurd that the names are not public already. I can't imagine I mean, look, I've been a lawyer for 36 years. I've never seen anything like this before. We have heard some reports that the names might exist in a report form. I haven't heard them yet. And I'm confident that we will get those names. But the fact that I don't know them yet is an absurdity and is example of how little cooperation that we're getting. I mean, if you believe that you you used deadly force in a lawful manner, why would you be afraid to disclose that name? You're claiming that you did the right thing? Step up, admit it, and let us all deal with it. It feels like a cover-up, Kevin. And I would never want to say that about our federal government, but over these past days, I'm not going to ignore the evidence in front of my face.
He's been in public service for decades. A lawyer, as he just said, for 36 years. 36 years, almost 40 years. He's never seen anything like this. That is because nothing like this has ever been attempted by any president of the United States, because we've never had, and we've had several lawless presidents, we've never had someone as arrogant and unchecked as Donald Trump, who presides over a cult of Republicans who are afraid of him, who are leaving office in droves for fear of losing their position, but also for fear of what Trump will do if they cross him, what Trump will visit upon them by way of violence against their families even. Something Tom Tillis talked about, different Republicans who have left have talked about. So in the absence of actual leadership in so many areas of our federal government, we need to be pressuring leaders like the Philadelphia DA to do what he vowed yesterday, to hunt and prosecute these Nazi execution squads if indeed they commit crimes. Now, of course, after a thorough investigation, after indictments that have been presented before a grand jury, we need to follow the rule of law in the course of holding these people accountable. But we need accountability. Watch this and tell me if you agree as well.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. And as long as we stick to our values, protect our rights, make it very clear that homicide is not okay just because you are a federal officer, if we do that, this will end differently. I have one final promise to you, and that is that I, along with a bunch of other state prosecutors, keep your eye on this, you'll be hearing more about it tomorrow, but I, along with a bunch of other state prosecutors, are rallying around Mary Moriarty, who is the prosecutor in Minneapolis. I know for a fact she is working 24/7 to make sure that there is justice coming out of two, what appear to be, by all indications, criminal homicides, and what appears to be, by all indications, a criminal shooting of someone in the leg. I want you to understand that just as you have come together, there are state prosecutors coming together right now to make sure that people understand there will be accountability. There will be accountability now. There will be accountability in the future. There will be accountability after Trump is out of office. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities, we will find you, we will achieve justice, and we will do so under the Constitution and the laws of the United States.
That was Larry Krasner, Philadelphia District Attorney, someone with power to investigate, with power to hold accountable these wannabe Nazis as he described them. And it's not that he's far off the mark. He is nailing it. He is absolutely over the target with this. They are wannabe Nazis. They know that the objective is to create a white ethno-state. These untrained, unqualified, functionally illiterate morons who have now been granted immense power to oppress you, to usurp your constitutional rights, your natural, God-given rights, as Republicans constantly talk about. All in an effort to create a more white America. So hopefully this forming network of prosecutors across the country will stand up for us, for the Constitution, remembering their oaths to support and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Anyway, I am, as I always say, I'm an optimistic type of guy, for sure. But it's hard to maintain that level of optimism when we see nothing but carnage, no accountability. So I think it's really time to lean in on the people with the authority to prosecute. People we have put in positions to protect, to uphold justice, to uphold the rule of law when it is under assault by the federal government on a daily basis. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please, if you have it within your financial means, not if you're on a fixed income, not if you're on retirement, not if you're on disability, not if you don't have disposable income. If you are in that situation, you want to support the work, make sure you're subscribed, comment and like and share these videos. That is tremendous help. But if you have an extra $2 a month, you want to help produce these videos, please consider supporting the work. You can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Help me produce these videos on a day-to-day basis. Or the less good option, but still good, is become a channel member on YouTube. Click the join button below this video or just on my channel generally. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine, keep the pressure on, and take care of one another. So Tom Homan has replaced Lil Greg Bavino as the operations chief of the incursion, the invasion, the occupation of federal troops in Minneapolis. And just a few minutes ago, he held a press conference that was absolutely unhinged, saying things as though he's some kind of a main character in a mafia show. I promised there would have been bloodshed. I promised there would be. Oh no, he says, I begged for everyone to stop calling our Nazis Nazis. I begged you, and I told you there would be bloodshed if not. Ultimately, what he's saying is, I promised we would kill you if you called us what we were, which was Nazi executioners. Not someone who executes Nazis, but a Nazi who conducts executions. This is an unhinged situation from a federal official, someone with great power granted them by our fascist president, Tom Homan, the mushmouth dildo with ears. He's like a fat thumb with a face drawn on it, muddling his way, slurring his way through his words here. Watch him as he takes a victory lap that he was right. I told you there'd be more murders. And indeed, it has come to pass.
I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March if the rhetoric didn't stop, there was going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations. For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the President. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for.
Baked into that statement is, if you call our officers Nazis, they're not Nazis, but if you call them Nazis, they're going to start acting like Nazis. Our officers are so poorly trained, so poorly educated, they lack so much discipline that they will be enraged to the point of murder if you call them names. They have no regard for what their actual duty is. They have no professionalism in them whatsoever. They are unhinged maniacs in the streets who will pull their weapons and summarily execute citizens who are filming them, smashing phones out of their hands, pushing them to the ground. No warning. Look, I've been in the presence of these maniacs. Firing pepper balls, creating plumes of pepper spray. No threat. People just saying, fuck you, Nazi. And it enrages them. And you got mafia boss Tom Homan here. I told you it would happen. As though he's bragging. The other thing that I find remarkable, and this is really where the press conference went off the rails, is where he's trying to engender sympathy for ICE agents. They can't even go to a restaurant and have dinner. Oh, they're being spit on. We don't have any evidence of that whatsoever. I mean, the dinner thing maybe. But is that a problem? That when you have execution squads wanting to relax at the end of the night and they find no peace, are we supposed to be mournful of that? Oh my God, I didn't know that. Well, they killed Alex Preddy and then they wanted to blow off some steam at a bar at the end of the night. Oh no, they should be able to have luxury and relaxation time. He also calls this them having been in theater for a long time, as though this is a war zone. You know, when they talk about World War II and they talk about the European theater and the Japanese theater, the Pacific theater, the theater of war, he's using those terms on purpose.
Can you please be specific about how many ICE and how many Border Patrol agents are currently operating in the state?
I think we're near 3,000. There's been some rotations. Another thing I witnessed when I came here, I'll share this with you. I met with a lot of people, a lot of the agents. They've been in theater. Some of these people have been in theater for 8 months. So there's going to be rotations of personnel. Hopefully less now that we have some agreements. Maybe we can make it more efficient and safe. But they've been in theater a long time, and so there's rotations happen all the time to get people out there and go home, get some rest, and see their families. Day after day, can't eat in restaurants. Day after day, having people spit on you and blow whistles at you. Day after day, having all these threats at you. Day after day, having people trying to interfere with you. Day after day, they're human. So we've got to rotate these people, and we've already rotated some. But my main focus now is drawdown, based upon the great conversations I've had with your state and local leaders. Again, I'm not a fool. I'm not walking away without seeing this put in place. But I take the word of the people I met with. I think they're honest, and I think they're good brokers, that they want public safety protected, and they also want what's happening in the city to go away. And that's my goal.
They can't eat in restaurants? People are blowing whistles? Oh, no. I didn't know it was that serious, Tom Homan. You've convinced me. I have great sympathy for the execution squads. The Nazi fucks who are too embarrassed or afraid to show their faces because they know what they're doing is wrong, illegal. And if you are someone somehow who's been on the fence or hasn't been paying attention, CNN the other day, I think yesterday, put this clip out where Jake Tapper's going through numerous incidents of unhinged behavior from these maniacs, these Nazi fucks. And even Jake Tapper is beside himself with no ability to understand what is taking place in America right now.
Was it appropriate for the ICE agent to push that gentleman onto the ground in the middle of the street into oncoming traffic? I mean, you see a city bus that has to come to a very quick stop to avoid running the man over. DHS did not respond to CNN's request for comment on that incident. And then there's this clip from St. Louis Park, Minnesota. That's a suburb just west of Minneapolis, where a driver says they began recording after witnessing a car crash between an ICE vehicle and another car.
Shame on you.
Listen, have y'all not learned from the past couple of days? Have you not learned?
Learned what? What's our lesson here? What do you want us to learn?
Following federal agents.
Give me my phone back. No, you can't take my... Shame on you.
DHS tells CNN that they told the woman multiple times to move her car and that she could film across the street. That ICE agent's strong objection, let's call it, to being filmed is something we've seen in several other videos, including this one from Portland, Maine. That's the latest state to receive this ICE enforcement surge.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
We have a nice little database, and now you're considered a domestic terrorist. The officer tells the American citizen for using her phone to record ICE agents as they go about their enforcement in public, which is protected by the Constitution. DHS responded to CNN by noting that, quote, there is no database of domestic terrorists run by DHS, unquote. Here's another interaction from Minneapolis where we see another very intense reaction from an ICE agent to a person filming them from their car.
This is your warning. This is your warning.
For what?
Stop following us. You are impeding operations. This is the United States federal government.
I live over here. I got to get to my house.
This is your warning.
Got to get to
All
my
right?
house.
Go home to your kids.
Go to church.
Go to your kids. This is your last warning.
I serve
the
Lord.
I'll arrest you.
We reached out to DHS for comment on that. We have not heard back. Finally, let's look at our video from North Carolina. This shows two U.S. citizens being asked by ICE agents to not record them with their phones, and then they were told they were being detained before a scuffle began.
Do me a favor and turn off your video. You're detained right now, so you're not free to record. No, we are free to record.
we're not free to record.
You're detained right now, sir.
No, we're not detained. No. They haven't told us we're detained.
They didn't say nothing about it. I'm telling you right now, you're
no,
detained.
we're not detained. Nope.
Again, American citizens are allowed to film law enforcement officers in public. Full stop.
So Tom Homan wants you to have sympathy for that, for all of that. Those men need to be able to go to a restaurant at the end of the night. Those men are being spat upon by the citizenry. Oh, the horror. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care if they're drowning in the spittle of citizens. I don't care. They deserve everything they get after watching them assassinate citizens on multiple streets, on multiple days in the city of Minneapolis and across the country as they kidnap 5-year-old children using them as bait. There's not enough spit in the world, Tom Homan, you mushmouth jerk off. Feels good. This is my catharsis. This is my therapy session, talking to you. Alone in this room, staring into a camera. But I know you're there. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. You can also email me daily at dollamore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another. In what is surely to be a developing story and something we're going to have to contend with over the course of the next several months and it maybe years, Donald Trump is openly interfering in the midterm elections and very likely the 2028. Their machinations are that deep, that sinister, and using the FBI and our intelligence networks to interfere. I know I said CIA in the title, but I just mean the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, was there on the scene when the FBI, something she doesn't have anything to do with, was there raiding the Fulton County Election Board. Because our conspiracy theory sore loser idiot of a president wants to prove a thing that's already been proven that didn't happen. We've all heard the tape of Donald Trump excoriating Brad Raffensperger and saying, just find me 11,780 votes. Just find them so I will have won the election. And now he's using the power of the federal government and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and our intelligence infrastructure to give him more power to rig an election. Let me play this 1 minute clip from Reuters giving you kind of a summation, and then let's get into the fact of why Tulsi Gabbard was there.
The FBI searched an election office in Georgia's Fulton County outside Atlanta on Wednesday, pursuing U.S. President Donald Trump's false claims that his 2020 election defeat was because of widespread voting fraud. An FBI statement said its agents executed a warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center. A law enforcement official who spoke to Reuters said the agents were looking to seize computers and ballots they believed were held at the facility as part of an investigation into possible election interference. Trump unsuccessfully sought to overturn the 2020 election result in Georgia, pressuring the state's top election official to, quote, find votes that would allow him to claim victory. Several reviews and a hand audit of ballots confirmed that Democrat Joe Biden narrowly won the state. Wednesday's search came a week after Trump again made his debunked claim that voting in 2020 was a rigged election, and that, quote, people will soon be prosecuted for what they did. The director of the FBI, Kash Patel, was appointed to his post by Trump last year.
So if this is just a law enforcement operation, why is Tulsi Gabbard there? The Director of National Intelligence. She is an umbrella officer over all of the disparate intelligence gathering networks we have. The CIA, the NSA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. She's an umbrella officer over that. Why is she there? It's not just me who has that question. Mark Warner, the vice chairman, former chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, someone with all kinds of national security secrets rattling around in his brain, a fulsome understanding of the laws that undergird and protect us from the CIA and the NSA and the disparate intelligence organizations that do have power to surveil you, to violate your constitutional rights under the Fourth Amendment. The laws that restrict them, that bind them, that control them and their behavior in operating on American soil. So why in the fuck is Tulsi Gabbard photographed secretly on her phone, hiding around a corner while this is taking place? Mark Warner asked these questions on Twitter, and I think I saw it on Instagram. He said this, very important questions here. Why is Tulsi Gabbard at an FBI raid on an election office in Fulton County? There are only two explanations for why the Director of National Intelligence would show up at a federal raid tied to Donald Trump's obsession with losing the 2020 election. Either Director Gabbard believes there was a legitimate foreign intelligence nexus, in which case she is in clear violation of her obligation under the law to keep the intelligence committees fully and currently informed of relevant national security concerns, or she is once again demonstrating her utter lack of fitness for office that she holds by injecting the nonpartisan intelligence community she is supposed to be leading into a domestic political stunt designed to legitimize conspiracy theories that undermine our democracy. Either is a serious breach of trust that further underscores why she is totally unqualified to hold a position that demands sound judgment, apolitical independence, and a singular focus on keeping Americans safe. All of these are good questions. The problem lies in the fact that they're all just questions. I want to say this, though, about Mark Warner. He is a dispassionate guy, too dispassionate for my taste. He's a middle-of-the-road Democrat, just a corporate Democrat. There's nothing remarkable about Mark Warner. He toes the line. He is an establishment guy. So when he's as alarmed as he is and raising these questions, we should have our ire up orders of magnitude more than him, because he is milquetoast, to say the least. This is a huge deal. Other senators are also sounding the alarm, using words like seismic. John Ossoff from Georgia represents Fulton County, represents the entire state of Georgia. He had this to say on MS Now yesterday with Jen Psaki, and everybody needs to hear him and what he has to say about this, because he is absolutely spot on.
So a judge signed a warrant for this search, which according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, included all physical ballots from the 2020 general election in Fulton County, all tabulator tapes from every voting machine, all ballot images during the original count, and all of the voter rolls. That's what we know according to reporting at this point. Why do you think, we all have our theories, but why do you think DOJ is doing this right now? Trump's DOJ is doing this right now.
Jen, thank you for having me. And this is a seismic event.
Mm-hmm.
This should have people across the country absolutely shook. This is a huge deal. This is an FBI raid on the Fulton County Elections Office. His conspiracy theories about the 2020 election have been based in Georgia from the very start. Georgia is where he called the Secretary of State and said, find me the votes that he needed to win in a state he had lost. So much of the big lie that led to the January 6th sacking of the United States Capitol, that had a mob seeking the Speaker of the House and the Vice President to lynch them, originated in his lies about the state of Georgia. And here he has the FBI, which there are so many hardworking, diligent public servants in FBI field offices all across the country, but its headquarters now in the thrall of these political appointees, Kash Patel and Bongino and this guy from Missouri in the deputy role, who are partisan political actors, raiding this election office in Georgia, seizing all of this information, all of these records, taking it who knows where, chain of custody now broken. And here's the thing. This is a shot across the bow at the midterm elections. He tried to steal power when he lost it in 2020. We have to be prepared for all kinds of schemes and shenanigans
we have to be prepared for him to try to deprive people of their voting rights. In Georgia, where we have the most competitive United States Senate race in the country.
If Donald Trump gains federal control over state elections in violation of the Constitution, in violation of several constitutional amendments, up to and including the 10th Amendment, which I talked about the other day, we're done for. They're using this ransom note, this extortion measure. Pam Bondi saying, okay, if you want all the ICE carnage to stop Minnesota, send us your voter rolls. Then we'll stop. Then we'll stop the execution of senators. Then of citizens. Then we'll stop the killing of protesters and observers. Then we'll stop the kidnapping of 5-year-old children. Then we'll stop the rampaging horde of masked Nazi fucks in your city. But you got to give us your voter rolls first. Something that violates the law, both federal and state, to provide. What does voter rolls have anything to do with the targeted immigration raids of ICE? This is an attempt to end democracy. It's another attempt to end democracy in America. Because Donald Trump and the Republican Party, their ideas, their policy prescriptions are so wildly unpopular. Donald Trump is cratering in a public opinion polls. Their ideas are so unpopular with the American people that they have to cheat in order to stay in office. It's the only way. I think there's going to end up being a far larger uprising surrounding items like this, incidents like this, with Donald Trump using law enforcement, federal law enforcement at his disposal to end democracy in America, to interfere with, to rig the midterms so he can stay in power, to avoid impeachment and removal from office. Because he's already committed several high crimes and misdemeanors just this term, just this year of his second term. And he knows he's done for. So you have two choices, Donald Trump: die in your sleep or be impeached and removed. What do you think out there? I welcome you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another. Melania Trump is promoting her dopey movie that Jeff Bezos paid $40 million for right now. And she's not going on CNN. She's not going on any normal networks, about as normal as CNN is. She's going on Fox News. Like on an hourly basis, she's there promoting this dipshit movie. And these interviews are getting more increasingly unhinged as time goes on. More crazy, more batshit with each one. I talked the other day, she was with Ainsley Earhart, the woman who, what about the majority? I'm so tired of protecting the minority. You know, in true American spirit, Ainsley Earhart, the faketriot. But she was also on This Morning, and it is just with Kayleigh McEnany, the former White House press secretary, because it's just an incestuous mess between Fox News and Donald Trump's previous employees. And I got 3 clips here. They're all very brief, but it just speaks to, one, she is daft. Like there's maybe 6 or 8 brain cells bouncing around in there. It is just nonsense. And it's not even about the fact that she can't speak English after having lived here for many, many decades. The same thing that they are approaching people on the street and demanding they prove where they were born, ICE, the same reasons she walks into a Fox News interview and is just worshipped like some kind of a goddess. But I got 2 clips that talk about the fact that she is one, talking about Donald Trump being a unifier, but also that he wants us to live in a country where you can walk down the street and not be harassed. That you could ostensibly go and get gas without someone walking up to you and asking you where you were born and to show you their papers. To not be murdered or raped, even though Donald Trump himself is a court-adjudicated rapist. None of it makes any sense. This coming from a woman who's been photographed with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. So take that for what it's worth. Let's start with that, the harassment, the murder, and the rape of women from Melania Trump defending her rapist husband.
He would like to have a country that all of the people can walk down the street and not to be harassed or murdered or women raped. I think it's very important. And what happened a few years ago, so many criminals came over the border, and he closed the border now a while back already. And we need to take care of our citizens.
He would like to have a country where all of the people can walk down the street and not be harassed or murdered or women raped. Look, it's only funny because of the fact that the irony is just, it's clouding my vision, the irony, the hypocrisy of this woman being the messenger for Donald Trump and the administration that's trying to create a white ethno-state, attacking black and brown immigrants in this country on an hourly basis. Come on. But it got even more crazy when she's trying to convince, and look, she's convincing a Fox News audience. It doesn't take much with the cult, that Donald Trump is a unifier. But there's something ominous that she says at the end of the statement that I think you need to check out.
I think he's unifier. He's unifier not just here in the United States, but around the world. He stopped many wars, and as well here in the United States, it's a lot of opposition, and that's the problem, right? So the people are not agreeing with everything what he does, and they just need to come on the same page and see that he wants to make America only safer and better.
Donald Trump is a unifier. The man who's calling anyone who disagrees with him radical left scum. The man who's calling for the execution of senators who don't agree with him. He's a unifier. The man who cannot go 5 seconds with talking about American citizens who've been executed by his mass secret police and talking about how one of their parents was a big Trump fan. He's a unifier, Melania? That guy. Are we talking about the same guy? Do you have a second husband that we don't know about, Melania? The ominous part of it, though, is when she says, not the war thing, is in the United States, there's a lot of opposition, and that is the problem. It's not that Donald Trump is absolutely creating division in the country. It's that if you disagree with him, that's the problem. If you oppose Donald Trump, that's the problem. And let me finish with this. Let me end with this. She said with Ainsley Earhart, the woman who doesn't want to protect the minority, that she's very busy right now because she's writing legislation. And Kayleigh McEnany, in a just a clear sign that they don't do a pre-interview with these dipshits, Melania Trump's apparently too busy working on her legislation to do a pre-interview. Kayleigh McEnany asked her about this legislation. She goes, yeah, you mentioned it to Ainsley. Is that ready? You want to talk about what your legislation is? And you will not be surprised by this dipshit First Lady's answer.
I heard you mention to Ainsley that you have more legislation coming out. Yes. I don't know if you want to preview that here or just say, what's the difference?
Not yet. I'm working, and I think I will have a lot of support like I had it with the previous one. So, but I'm working also reuniting more children.
Wow.
I think we will have a success. I'm still in talks, so that's exciting. That's, for me, it's very satisfying because, you're bringing children home.
Absolutely.
Well, if you want to break any...
Ooh, you. You talked to Ainsley about it. You want to preview it here? Nope. Quit asking questions. Stop. There's no legislation. Come on. I mean, yeah, there's legislation. They're writing it right. We're doing it. Stop asking me questions. You have any other questions about the movie? Listen, I can't wait until she's done promoting the movie so she can go back into the hole she came from and we don't have to hear from her or see her anymore. Because they act like she lives in the White House with Donald Trump. This lady lives in New York. She avoids Donald Trump like the plague. I wonder what kind of financial arrangement they have to keep her as first lady, to avoid the controversy. We've seen her slapping his hand away. He bangs anything with a pulse. He's raw dogging porn stars while she's at home with their baby. She hates Donald Trump. She's being paid and paid handsomely to lie, to be a mouthpiece defending Donald Trump, that he's a unifier. Nobody fucking believes that nonsense. Not even her. Most prominently, Melania Trump does not believe it. You know who does, though? The lemmings in the Fox News audience. The conservative MAGA trolls who call me 20 times a day. These idiots who are just spoon-fed and regurgitate conspiracy theory. Fantastic. Fucking idiots. Chief among the morons are MAGA. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. You can also call the voicemail line. I'd love to hear from you, 714-576-4054. And you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. You know, if my MAGA trolls would email me, that'd be a lot better. It'd be a lot better for me. But keep calling 20 times a day. Dipshits. You think I'm listening to 20 voicemails? Wasting your time and your breath. You'd be better off just holding your breath until you do away with yourself. Anyway, you want to help support this work? If you want to help me go through this therapy session every day with you, for $2 a month, you can fund my therapy. Become a channel member on YouTube, click the join button below, or even better, go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast and help support the work that way. I would appreciate it very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. Tim Walz sat down with MS Now yesterday, and he told some tales. He explained some of the conversation he had with Donald Trump the other day, and there are some alarming things that were said that give us a glimpse into the mind and the psyche and the understanding of what Donald Trump thinks his job is, how he views states and cities with electorates that didn't vote for him. He considers them the enemy. He considers them targets in a military-style operation. And you don't have to take it from me, because Tim Walz just explained that Donald Trump, when talking about all of the good that he's doing, brought up in his immigration raids, in his attempt to make a white ethno-state in the United States, in his military invasion and occupation of cities like Los Angeles and New Orleans and others, Chicago, that he compared it to Venezuela. Look at the good that we did. Look how successful we were in Venezuela. Then the conversation shifts, or it didn't shift, it's a pretty quick clip, to whether or not Stephen Miller, who is the shadow president, the de facto leader of the Department of Justice and the de facto leader of the Department of Homeland Security, if consequences should be visited upon him in a legal sense. And Tim Walz lets him have it. Watch this.
See the whole thing, make sure we have a real good trial, which should scare everybody to death, because that's not his job.
What else did he say to you, other than saying he wanted to work together? I mean, what did he tell you about, what did you talk about?
He told me that he doesn't understand what's wrong with Minnesota. I don't know what's wrong with you people. I said, nothing's wrong with Mr. President. We're one of the most effective states and one of the best places to live. And he told me that, well, look, Tim, we did this in New Orleans, we did it in Louisville, there's no problems. And I said, you didn't kill anybody in Louisville or New Orleans. And the operation here looks very different from that. And then he told me it was successful in Venezuela.
He talked to you about Venezuela?
He did. He did. I'm not sure what gave him the indication that at this point in time, what's happening to my state, that I'm interested in Venezuela. But he told me how well that went. Which really was strange to me was he saw an operation in Venezuela against a foreign nation in the same context he saw an operation against a U.S. state and a U.S. city.
Who are you looking at when it comes to accountability and who should be held accountable here?
I want to be careful on this, but yes, I think there will be accountability. Somebody gave the orders to this. Somebody empowered them to be out there and do this. They felt that they could do exactly what they did, and there's no way, and again, there's more investigations to done, but what I've seen on this, it's very difficult to see that these were rogue actions and weren't part of the culture that was there. And Greg Bavino himself leading these things, he was right on the line. He was the commander. Look, I was in the military long enough to know if I'm the first sergeant of that unit and I tell my troops to do it, I'm the one that's doing it.
So is there accountability for Stephen Miller? Who else are you thinking about?
There better be. Well, look, I think the accountability goes all the way to the top.
One, the self-evident. Yes, Stephen Miller should be held accountable. There should be accountability. There should be consequences, legal, for Stephen Miller. He is a fascist. He is giving marching orders to masked secret police, urban assault raids, and execution squads in the streets of Minneapolis. 2 American citizens are dead at their hands. One whose final words were, "I'm not mad at you," with a smile on her face. She was then visited upon bullets in her face and head and called a fucking bitch by Jonathan Ross. The other, Alex Preddy, who was disarmed. They claim he had a weapon. Are we to believe them? Or are we to believe the Donald Trump administration, these liars? I don't know. But we saw the tape, and whatever they took from him, they claim it was a gun. They then fired the weapon into his back, into the back of his head, into his body. A defenseless man, piled on by masked Nazis in the street. Yes, there should be accountability for Stephen Miller, whether that be at The Hague when all of this is over, or in an American courtroom. What consequence, what sentence gets meted out? I guess I would leave that to the experts, those in positions of authority. But the other thing is Donald Trump's insistence to compare this operation in the streets and cities of American states to Venezuela. To them, removing the leader of a country, a bad guy to be sure, but it was an invasion. It was an act of war against Venezuela. And he's comparing the success of a military war mission to what's taking place in the streets of America, a law enforcement, they claim, operation. This is a retribution campaign, the day of reckoning that Donald Trump said would happen. And all of the Gadsden flag flyers, the don't tread on me types, the people who were too focused on liberty and freedom to put a mask on, to put a surgical mask on during a pandemic, are now silent. Because it was never about liberty for all of us. It was about liberty and freedom for them and oppression for the rest of us if you disagree with the dear leader. There's no other way to look at it. These people are liars and hypocrites and principle-free actors in the body politic of America. There's one other clip that I want to play for you of Tim Walz in this interview, and it's about the fact that the investigation, look, I talked yesterday how the administration is arguing in court that they should be able to destroy evidence in the case, in the shooting death. And that's putting it very middle of the road, inaccurately, the shooting death of Alex Preddy. They want to be able to destroy evidence that could, like I said yesterday, otherwise exonerate their agents. Why would they want to destroy evidence? And the FBI won't even investigate this. They want the Homeland Security Investigations outfit to investigate the crime that their own people committed, like no one does anywhere. You get an outside agency. When there's a shooting, when there's an officer-involved shooting, the department that officer belongs to doesn't conduct the investigation. Like if it's a sheriff's office or a municipality, they go to another town and have their investigators investigate it, because you can't investigate yourself. Watch Tim Walz talk about this.
What does accountability look like to you?
Look, I know myself on this, is that I speak when it's in the moment. I feel that way. How can you describe it as anything other than that? We had what appeared, you had the entire leadership of the federal government, J.D. Vance, Kristi Noem, telling us this guy was a domestic terrorist, just destroying his name, making up things. Then you had the federal government defying a state warrant to the police force that does this stuff, and then you don't give us the names of who they are, and you continue with these lies for over 72 hours. I don't know how to read that other than there's something. Here's what justice looks like. Let us take part in this case. Give us all the evidence. Let's gather the evidence. Let's put it in front of a grand jury. If indictments come back, let's bring these folks back. Let them stand trial. Here's what I'll tell you they'll get from me and they won't get from this White House is they'll get due process. That's not what my people are getting. That's not what these immigrants are getting. But do you think anybody in Minnesota believes we're going to get justice? Not only did they not let us be a part of this, this thing was so tainted, the FBI would not touch it. And so we're to believe that HSI, that doesn't even have a crime lab, that has never done one of these investigations, is going to do that?
You have faith they'll preserve any evidence?
I don't know.
They don't even have a crime lab. How are they going to investigate the execution, alleged execution of Alex Preddy without a crime lab? How are they going to do that? They're not going to do it. That's the answer to the question. The FBI doesn't want anything to do with this. I don't know that that's true. I think they would love to be. But it's a bridge too far this early on in Donald Trump's first term. Look, maybe year 3.5, maybe then, but not now. They don't have the juice. Anyway, things are going to get worse before they get better, to be sure. There will be more killings. There will be more shootings at the hands of ICE officers. There will be more carnage in the streets of America at the hands of masked secret police, this Gestapo force of Donald Trump, filled with Proud Boys and functionally illiterate hillbillies. It's going to happen. Be prepared. Hopefully, our elected leaders find it within themselves to actually do some pushing back. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please leave a comment. It does help the algorithm. Every time I say, let's talk about it, what do you think? That's just to get you to comment because it's algorithmically advantageous for me. Because I'm not about secrets here. I'm not about, it helps the algorithm. I'm not reading every single comment. I do listen to every voicemail though. So if you'd like to sound off there, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. Look, there are several elected leaders in the Democratic Party that I greatly admire. There are several. But there is one that stands head and shoulders above most, and that's Elizabeth Warren, because she does not mix words. She doesn't mince her words. She doesn't parse her words. She doesn't speak in a politician way to you can read between the lines and kind of get what she's saying, and there's double meanings to the comments that she makes. She's no Cory Booker, is what I'm saying. Elizabeth Warren is a straight shooter. And yesterday she gave a speech on the floor of the United States Senate that absolutely excoriated Republicans right to their faces about how complicit they are. This is an anti-ICE. This is an admonition to her fellow senators to not be a Nazi collaborator. The same thing I've been saying. She doesn't say Nazi collaborator. She doesn't go that far. But that's what they need to be saying, because if you vote to fund ICE, you are collaborating with Nazis. You are voting to fund the American Gestapo. It's what it is. And in this first clip, that is what she gets to, calling out Republicans to their faces for being complicit in the funding of an execution squad all over the country.
I am urging every single senator, Democrat and Republican, to vote no on this budget bill and stop bankrolling ICE's abuses. And I want to put a finer point on this. Republicans control the White House. Republicans control the Senate. Republicans control the House of Representatives. Democrats are ready to rein in this rogue agency, but we need Republicans in Congress to stop this violence as well. And I know that there are Republicans right now who are seeing what we're seeing in Minnesota, and they know it is wrong. It is time to speak out. Silence is complicity. Grow a spine, show some backbone. Being disturbed doesn't change anything. And the ICE agents who are waving around loaded guns know that. Republicans in the Senate have the power to do something and to start righting these wrongs. Help the Democrats put meaningful constraints on ICE. Help our people be safe.
Grow a spine. Grow a backbone. Find within you the professionalism or just reverence for our rule of law. Don't fund ICE. You can call the Capitol Switchboard, 202-224-3121. Call your senator. Tell them, do not be a Nazi collaborator. Do not be like the 7 Democrats in the House of Representatives. The Marie Gluesenkamp Perez's and the Tom Swozes or Schwazi or whatever his last name is. The Don Davises, the Henry Cuellars, the Laura Gillams. Don't be a Nazi collaborator. The Vicente Gonzalez's. Because you will be held accountable. You will be primaried and you'll be out of a job and you will go down in history as just that. Someone who collaborated with an execution squad put there by Donald Trump. The real answer here is to abolish ICE. You can't reform the Gestapo. You can't train out of them this attitude and culture of murder. It's not a thing. You burn it to the ground. And that's where Elizabeth Warren is in this next clip, where she says, I'm not just a no, I'm a hell no on funding ICE.
The people ICE grabbed up, the people they shot, are not threats to you and me. They are not violent criminals that Trump promised to go after. They are not, as Trump said, the worst of the worst. No, these are our neighbors. They are our friends. They are our colleagues. They are people who treat us when we are sick. The risk is not from them. The risk increasingly comes from out-of-control ICE agents who can't follow the basic training manual that our local police, our state police, and our National Guard are all trained to follow. This invasion by ICE is not making anyone in America safer. And if we don't put a stop to it, these masked agents are going to kill more people. We are at a turning point in our country. And what we do next now is in front of the United States Senate, in front of my colleagues here today. This week, we are tasked with funding the government, and one part stands out. Last summer, Trump and the Republicans lavished ICE with $75 billion. That is more than their annual budget for 7 years. And maybe that is why ICE is handing out $50,000 recruiting bonuses. Now, in this budget, Trump and the Republicans want to reward ICE with an additional $10 billion in funding. That's right. Donald Trump wants us to write another check, hand it over to ICE, and let them keep rolling in the dough. But here is my view. I am a no. I am a hell no. We cannot give one more penny to Trump's ICE while its masked, poorly trained agents terrorize people all across this country. It is time for the United States Senate to step up and stop ICE's violence. We must stand united, and we must fight back, and we must do it now.
It's time for the Senate to step up and stop ICE violence. Absolutely. Hell no, we cannot give one more penny to Trump's ICE while its masked, poorly trained agents terrorize people across this country. We can't give one more penny to ICE whether they're still masked or not. If they take off the mask, we still need to abolish ICE, defund ICE. Absolutely. They are what I say they are. Whether they're wannabe Nazis or Nazis, they are a masked secret police force that wants to remain anonymous so they can't be held accountable for their crimes. The administration is arguing in court that they have the right to destroy evidence when crimes are alleged against their officers. They are standing up an army for Donald Trump of functionally illiterate morons who can't pass an open book test. They have criminal charges against them before they go to training. Criminal records. They barely graduated high school. These are not the caliber of individual we want with the authority to detain, to arrest, to draw weapons on, to murder summarily in the streets of America. And any senator, John Fetterman talking to you, Nazi collaborator, any senator, Republican or Democrat, who votes to fund ICE is a Nazi collaborator and should be held accountable just like they were a Nazi. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me how that's just bombacity. Oh, you're just being a bomb thrower. No. This is where the rubber hits the road in America, is where do you stand on funding a terrorist organization like ICE? You don't reform it. Are we looking to reform Hamas? No. We're looking to burn it to the fucking ground. We want to eliminate it. And that's what ICE is. It's a domestic terrorist organization, terrorizing cities and states that did not vote for Donald Trump. They're not terrorizing Dallas. They're not terrorizing Florida cities. They're terrorizing cities that did not vote for Donald Trump. New Orleans, Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis. It's not an accident that that is the case. What do you think? I welcome you to this conversation. Let's have an earnest one in the comments below. Helps the algorithm, makes me happy. So if you want to make me happy, some of you probably don't, then you won't be commenting. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I will see you next time. Until then, be genuine. Be more like Elizabeth Warren. Take care of one another. Man, I wanted to talk about this yesterday, but I fell into some really serious technical issues. I only put 3 videos out yesterday. I got through recording like 5 videos, and my audio was recording, which is down here. And I look, this is the monitor for my camera, and I hadn't clicked record on the video. I fucking raged. I raged and then rallied and then recorded 3, and then I was done because I had other shit to go on. But I wanted to talk about this yesterday, so I'm going to talk about it today. It's probably not going to get watched much because it's old news. Tim Pool, a man who's afraid of baldness, thinks that he's some kind of a boot of the government to deliver tyranny on the people. I voted for this. I'm the boot of tyranny. I'm not a bootlicker. It is remarkable that this little weakling, this little do-nothing, done-nothing, acts like he's some kind of a steely-eyed warrior, some kind of an armed renegade, an urban assault, military-trained badass. He gets fired because he's a lazy turd. When he goes out and he hides in his hotel room and fakes like he's doing reporting when he was a legitimate journalist with Vice or whatever. He is just a clownish douchebag who wears a beanie because he's afraid that he's bald, but thinks his bravery is going to extend to some kind of a combat force. Watch this clip of Tim Pool, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
You will be conquered by your betters. So the argument right now is this. I'll put it simply. First of all, when these people come out and go, Tim's a bootlicker for defending us, I'm like, no, you misunderstand. It's my boots. It's mine. I voted for them. I'm wearing the boot. I'm stomping on the ground. I ain't licking anybody. I'm clapping for these people that I said, please go out and enforce the law. And anybody else who's cheering for it, who voted for it too, we're all wearing the boots. You're the one crying. You're the one saying you're coming in and enforcing laws we didn't vote for. Well, I got bad news for you. The American people voted for the Republican Party in the House, the Senate, the presidency, and they got the Supreme Court. That means it's the will of the people and democracy that we enforce our immigration law. I'm not going to sit here and say that children should get wrapped up and abused or anything stupid like that. Your stories are fake and they're not happening. Mistakes are made. Those are bad. We'll figure that out.
Tim Pool is most certainly not the boot of tyranny. Tim Pool is the lips and mouth and throat that deep throats the boot of tyranny. Just gobbles it on down. That's who Tim Pool is. Tim Pool is not going to be out there. He's of military age now. Tim Pool is not a man who had the temerity, the boldness, the braveness, the sense of duty to join the military. Because if he did that, he would have done that. If he had that, if it was a part of his makeup, he would have joined the military. You can go join ICE right now, Mr. Boot of Tyranny. Why don't you go out there and join ICE, Tim? I mean, you get to wear a helmet to cover your little bald dome. Seems like a good thing, right? There was another clip that didn't go viral on the internet that just came just a few moments after that particular clip there. And it really is just him laying bare that there are no principles from Tim Pool. Absolutely not. He doesn't care about the hypocrisy of the right, not wanting someone to carry a weapon if they're a Democrat, but being all over the Second Amendment for Republicans. He doesn't care about it. And he just admits, not in so many words, he just admits it in this particular clip. Then we'll get to the fact that he's already a propagandist, an outed propagandist for Russia, paid by Russia. He's an unregistered foreign agent for a hostile foreign power to the United States, yet acts like he's going to be out there cleaning up the streets of the migrants. Watch this.
So when I see DHS, ICE, and they go out and they're armed and they're putting down these protesters, and then people look at me and say, you're licking their boot, I'll be like, you misunderstand. I hired the boot. I'm paying their bills and clapping for them. So cry more about it. But your lies and manipulations ain't playing with me at all. Because I got to tell you, I honestly don't even care about this argument coming from communists that they should have a right to keep and bear arms. You want to come to me and say, but what about your principles, Tim? Don't people have a right to keep and bear arms? I'll say, generally speaking, yes. But when a communist comes to me and says, I shouldn't be allowed to have a gun, I'll return the favor and say, neither should you.
Zero principles. Let me share this with you. This is a cartoon by my friend Matt Strackbind, the letter hack on Instagram. You should go follow him. He does really good work. I'm the boot. I'm the boot. And then I've got a tweet that I want to share with you that I read that really does encapsulate the lack of manliness and masculinity that all of these just fucking weaklings like Tim Pool display. They think that aggression and violence is some kind of a substitute for being a man. That is what demonstrates to the world that you're a man, is how abusive you can be to your fellow human being. I hate to break it to you, Timmy. That's not it, brother. Trust me as someone who is traditionally masculine. 6'3", 250 pounds of masculine man who actually did serve his country on active duty in the United States Marine Corps for years, little boy. Who doesn't cherish being the boot. I'm the boot. I'm not looking the boot. I'm the boot. I voted for it. I'm the one stomping. Trust me, I'm the one that's stomping. You fucking weakling. This is the tweet. Has his number. Joshua Reed Eagle, don't know who this is, but he speaks the truth here. Tim Pool, I'm not licking the boot. It's my boot. I voted for it. I'm the one stomping. The mindset is genuinely pathetic. It's an alpha fantasy, watching state violence and imagining you're exercising power rather than the one submitting to it. In no reality is a lawless state you. It is not accountable to you. It is coercive by nature and indiscriminate in its application. The moment Tim Pool stops being useful, if he becomes a critic instead of a sycophant, decides an abuse has gone too far, or is simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, that same boot ends up on his neck. It's a power fantasy for weak men. They cosplay as rulers while applauding their own subjugation. I read that because it's too succinct not to. It summarizes exactly how I feel that Tim Pool is comporting himself. These people don't care about tyranny. Them flying their fucking Gadsden flag, don't tread on me. It's don't tread on me, but we can tread on whoever else. And he said it as much in that second clip. Now, as far as him being paid by this, he is absolutely a paid propagandist. The Department of Homeland Security has put up like $100 million in this recruitment ad effort, and $8 million of that is being set aside to pay influencers, the likes of, we don't know because it's not public. Our taxpayer dollars aren't being fully transparent in their spending. But he very likely is being paid by the Department of, it's very, very possible he's being paid a handsome sum to be the boot. I'm not looking the boots, you're looking the boots. Ah, I'm a badass. Just a weak coward from the safety of his studio. He's not out in the streets. Little bitch. Thanks for this, Matt. I appreciate it, brother. Anyway, what do you think? I welcome you to this day late conversation. You can comment below or you can call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. And I'll see you next time. Be genuine, whether that be traditionally masculine or just be who you are and what you are. Bald, covered in a beanie. Take care of one another. Yesterday, I had the great good fortune of sitting down with Mike Nellis over on his Substack. And I want to share that interview with you. If you're not on Substack, you can go over there and subscribe to his and also to mine, because I am going to start regularly, with semi-regularity, writing again on my Substack. You can sign up for free over there. I'll put a link below. But I want to share this interview with you. But also, I want to ask the question that I enjoyed doing this, and I don't do enough of it. I get invited, like I got invited yesterday on Piers Morgan's show and I didn't even answer the email. But I do want to do more collaborations with other creators of like mind. We need to signal boost one another and lift each other up. The more voices in this space, the better. And I want to continue to do that. I try my best to use the size of this medium platform, this little tiny corner of the internet, to lift up smaller creators, up and comers. And I would love for you to tell me who you would like me to interview or be interviewed by in the comments below. You can also email me. I'll leave the number now because I'm going to leave you with this interview. But you can tell me in the comments, or you can voicemail me. Leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Or, of course, you can do it the old-fashioned way by email, daily@dollemore.com. So here is me and Mike Nellis talking about all kinds. It's a wide-ranging conversation about the tyranny that we are now facing, the jackbooted thugs, the mass secret police of Donald Trump, the attack on Ilhan Omar, and he shares much of his opinions as well. It was a good time, and I'd love your thoughts.
I think we're officially live. Welcome to another episode of Endless Urgency. Very grateful to be here with my friend and a huge kick-ass YouTuber that's holding these people accountable every single day, Jesse Dollemore. Please make sure you subscribe to his Substack and you subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. We're going to dive into 3 core issues today. We're going to talk about the attack on Ilhan Omar and the attack on Maxwell Frost, frankly, because we kind of missed that in the hoopla over this weekend. Not hoopla. That's the term Donald Trump used. That's wrong. Over the murder of Alex Preddy this weekend. We're going to talk about the ICE agents finally being put on leave, for God's sake. And then we're going to talk about Nicki Minaj becoming Donald Trump's #1 fan. We'll likely get into a bunch of other stuff, too, in the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. Do us a favor while you're joining. Smash that heart button to welcome Jesse to Endless Urgency. The more you hit that button, the more people get a chance to see it inside the Substack algorithm. I know I'm annoying about that, but it is really important. Tell us where you're watching this from. Tell us how you're doing today. Just leave any comment. I'll try to respond to as many of them as I can. Jesse, it's been a rough couple of days. So I often start these lives by just being like, how are you holding up after the last few days?
It's been trying. As somebody who hasn't forgotten his oath to the Constitution after having served in the Marine Corps for as long as I did, it is distressing to me that people who have dedicated their lives in a helping position to serve veterans are summarily executed in the street by Donald Trump's mass secret police. The depths of depravity of this particular man's lack of a soul have no bottom.
Yeah, no, they don't. And I want to thank you for your service for a second, because anybody that puts that uniform on and serves deserves all of our respect. And we have a president that doesn't respect your service, that doesn't respect anybody in law enforcement. So I just want to say I appreciate that. And I appreciate you for using your voice that way too, because a lot of folks don't want to use their voice that way, don't want to become political. I have lots of people in my life who are veterans, and they try not to be political because they feel like that's a violation of, their oath, and you're out there doing it. We need more people like you.
That is a cop-out opinion. It is everything is political when fascism is not at the door, but inside the house. We all need to be raising our voices about what is right and what is wrong right now. So not to poop on your friends who don't like to be political, but I'm diametrically opposed to that viewpoint.
Yeah. That's nothing they haven't heard from me before. So I'm with you on that. Let's dive in and talk about our first story, which is Ilhan Omar was attacked yesterday. She was at an event where she was literally in the middle of talking about why Kristi Noem should be impeached and removed for all the chaos, violence, and death they've created in Minneapolis, when a man ran up to her, shouted something, threw some kind of liquid on her. Luckily, she seems to be safe. It seems like the liquid was harmless. I don't know if we got confirmation on what that was, but hopefully it's not anything that's going to hurt her or anybody else in the room. She did, in my opinion, one of the craziest things I've ever seen a politician do, which is she ran at the guy, which is both badass as hell. And if I were on her staff, I'd be like, that was amazing. Don't ever do it again. But she's okay. But Maxwell Frost was also attacked by a Trump supporter. And then Trump is out there talking about how Ilhan Omar is, she's a thief. She's attacking her for being from Somalia. And it's really gross behavior. And I want to get your reaction to it, because to me, it's really scary.
Well, I talked about this today on my show, and what struck me in it, and I described it as one of those moments when you watch something and it brings you joy and happiness to see her unafraid, undeterred, absolutely aggressive to go toward the danger.
Right.
And my spirit was buoyed by it, because we need more of this. This is leadership. She is unafraid. And I think it's why Donald Trump reviles her as much as he does. He hates her. She lives rent-free in his tiny pea brain, because she embodies all of the characteristics that he fakes like he has. Strength and power and aggressiveness and lack of timidity. She didn't even hesitate. There was a moment in the campaign in 2016 where Donald Trump, somebody spooked some Secret Service agents. He was in an airplane hangar giving one of his, he flies in, gives a speech, and then flies out. And somebody made a quick movement and it freaked them out. And Donald Trump was, he freaked out and was afraid. He cowered like a whimpering little puppy. And she didn't do that. In fact, she didn't even hesitate. She didn't even assess the situation. She charged into the fray. And he hates her for that. He hates her because she's everything he fakes like he is.
That's right. And to me, it's like, look, you can like Ilhan Omar's politics or not. I like a lot more of it than I don't. But there's a person who, to me, represents the American dream, right? Came to this country, built her life, has come from basically nothing, and is now a United States Congresswoman. And you can feel whatever you want, again, about her politics, but she's an absolute badass for doing that. But she stands for everything that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller don't. They don't want to see people who look like Ilhan Omar, who talk like Ilhan Omar, who think like Ilhan Omar succeed at any level in this country. And that plays out in 1,000 different ways. Obviously, he inspires these attacks. He was literally attacking her at his rally in Iowa, but a few hours before she was attacked. So he's the one who's inspiring this stuff. Same, by the way, with Maxwell Frost, who is still somehow the youngest member of the United States Congress, which I don't understand, because he's in his third term. But like, there's a man who came from humble beginnings and rose himself up, and Trump doesn't talk about him as much, but he fucking hates these people. And I can't stand it. But the more that we elevate voices like that, people who have the courage to stand up to him, people who represent the actual American dream, the better that we will be, I think, in my opinion. And I'm grateful for her for running into the fire.
Well, Donald Trump he's not strange anymore. He's normalized this type of behavior, but he absolutely, in his vilifying of Ilhan Omar, and it's not even just like difference of policy and politics. In like December 2nd or 3rd in a cabinet meeting, he went on this tail-long rant about her at the end of the meeting, calling her literal garbage and demeaning and defaming people from Somalia, telling her to go back to her country. Spoiler alert, Donald Trump, you can't be a member of Congress and not be a citizen. This is her country as much or more maybe as it is Donald Trump's. And again, he knows what he's doing. And even when he was asked afterward, Rachel Scott from ABC, I just happen to have the tweet here. Rachel Scott from ABC asked him, she tweeted this: I just spoke to President Trump, asked him if he had seen the video of Representative Omar being attacked and sprayed by a substance. No, he said, I don't think about her. Then he went on stage and couldn't stop running his mouth about her. I think she's a fraud. I really don't think about that. She probably had herself sprayed knowing her. He has the temerity, the absolute lack of self-awareness to call Ilhan Omar a fraud, our 34 felony count convicted convict of a president, actually convicted of fraud. It just... The jokes write themselves, I guess.
Who, by the way, is 1 year into his term and doesn't have any signature success that the American people would bank on. And that's why his approval rating is in the high 30s right now. Even on immigration after the last couple of weeks, and we'll transition to that in a second, he's negative 20-some% right now on his best issue. So for him to call anyone a failure is really just unbelievable. And like, separate out for a second, like the morality and the ethics of like how a normal person should react to that. And by the way, I think a lot about this, if you'll allow me to just like go off on a tangent for a second. But when I found out that Charlie Kirk had been assassinated, I found out live on Newsmax doing a TV hit that they cut into and then went to my immediate reaction to. And my immediate reaction was, my actual human reaction was just, holy shit, that's terrible. I hope he survives that. Cause like, to me, I didn't like Charlie Kirk, obviously, but like, I didn't want him to die. And I certainly don't want things like that to happen in this country. And he can't do that ethically or morally. But let's talk about politically for a second, because if he could just politically be like, that's horrible, let's tone it down, this shouldn't happen, even if deep down he's glad he happened, he just can't do that. When Melissa Hortman was murdered by a Trump supporter, what did he do? He attacked Tim Walz. What happens when Alex Preddy and Renee Good were murdered over the last couple of weeks? And that's going to be our transition here. They call them domestic terrorists. And I'm sure you saw this, but
not only did they call them domestic terrorists, Donald Trump goes off on this rant on Will Cain's show about which one of the sets of parents was a huge fan of his. Everything boils down to how it impacts him, his notoriety, how many people love him. It's all about self-adulation and self-aggrandizement with this psychopath.
Yeah, it's all me. And he said, by the way, that Renee Good's murder was worse because her father was a Trump supporter. Worse.
Yeah.
Like, truly and forever, go fuck yourself. But like, it's all about him, and he can't even just pretend. And I want to, the thing I was going to bring up is Carolyn Levitt yesterday was asked about Stephen Miller's tweet, calling Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist, saying that he was planning to attack ICE agents. And Carolyn Levitt's response would be like, well, the president hasn't seen that language. I don't think she's seen that. And like, whatever bullshit. He said plenty of other stuff. But you know who did see it? And I think the media needs to ask this question. And it's why independent media like you and I are so important. JD Vance saw it because JD Vance retweeted that tweet.
Yeah.
And retweet equals endorsement in the Trump administration. And I haven't seen any serious member of the media ask that question to the vice president if he still believes Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist after everything that we've learned.
Yeah, it is that entire flame war that's taking place right now between Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller is quite something to behold. But the talking points that were given to, because Stephen Miller is the shadow president of the United States.
100%.
He's actually the one who runs the DOJ, the Department of State, and the Department of Homeland Security. And she said as much in this Axios interview that got released today, that she has done nothing. Here, I got the quote right here, Mike.
You're so much more organized than me. Like the idea that I would have them in front of me.
She said, everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen Miller, which by extension, if you wrap that out, if you're taking direction from Stephen Miller, that means he's your boss. He's the de facto secretary of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Her statement in it about the mass casualty and massacre of law enforcement, all that nonsense, that was almost word for word for Greg Bavino, that was given to them by Stephen Miller. So when JD Vance, if he was to try to back away from it, it's not a possibility. That's the narrative they want to go with, is if you deny Donald Trump the support that he wants, you are a domestic terrorist. Or it's along also the same line of treason is just not agreeing with Donald Trump. It has nothing to do with treachery against the Constitution or the country. It's betrayal of Donald Trump himself. That's treason against the country.
Yeah, well, and it's like today, I mean, look, Ted Cruz spoke out about the tariffs the other day in a leaked audio, and Donald Trump's mad at him, shitting on him. And Tom Tillis is saying that Kristi Noem should be fired over what happened this weekend, and Donald Trump called him a loser today. So it's like, you even just mildly criticize this president, and he's going to come after you. And that's why, to me, the little moments of weakness that I catch in TV interviews is so important. Like, I shot a video talking about James Comer's interview this weekend on Sunday News, and Comer carries all the water and the BS of like the justification for Alex Preddy's murder. But one of the things he says is, and I think it's really important because he said it on Fox for the president to hear, because the president watches everything that happens on Fox. He was like, maybe there are other cities that we should send these ICE agents to where they'll be more welcome. And to me, that little bit of weakness of direction shows how bad this is, because to speak anywhere outside of where the White House is terrible. And I want to dive in for a second into the investigation here, because one, they've declined to do a civil rights violation investigation into this murder, even though his civil rights were absolutely violated in this, as were Renee Goods, by the way. And I think we should note how important that is. But they're not going to do that. By the way, the person in charge of the Civil Rights Division at the DOJ today was spending today arguing with people on the internet about her college degree, which the fuck are we doing? Like, who are these people and why are they in charge? But now they finally put these, we still don't know who these agents are, by the way. They have not been identified. But when the shooting and the murder happened, they were put off duty. And I don't know if it was just, because they're saying now it's 2 guys who fired. I don't know if that's true or not. But let's assume that it is. So it's 2 guys who fired, but there were like 6 or 8 agents that beat him and shoved him to the ground. All of them should be put on leave. But they just got put, at least the 2 who shot today got put on leave just a little bit ago. So that finally happened. But it's not standard operating procedure to do it 5 days later. It's standard operating procedure to do it immediately after it happens. And I'll add one more thing and then I'll give it back to you, is the other thing that would be standing operating procedure, I would think, in a serious investigation where someone has been murdered by law enforcement, would be to interview the eyewitnesses who saw it and recorded the video. And the woman who was wearing the pink coat in the initial video we saw, who shot the clearest video that shows exactly what happened, she gave an interview yesterday to Anderson Cooper. She has not been contacted by federal law enforcement for her version of the events.
Yeah, Stella
So
Carlson.
they're not taking this seriously. Is that her name? Thank you.
Yeah, so here's the other just wild as fuck development in all of this. The New Republic had a piece today. Donald Trump is arguing in court, pushing back against a ruling of a federal judge. Here, I'll give you another. I know I've got papers all over my desk. So
No, I respect it. I'm thinking about how to do it myself. So like, I'm going to buy a printer for like right here. I'm super jealous.
This is from the New Republic. Trump team demands right to destroy evidence in Alex Preddy shooting. A judge ruled over the weekend that the government is barred from destroying or altering evidence related to the investigation. Why would they want to destroy evidence that could otherwise exonerate their heroes, their first responder masked secret police?
Yep.
The reason they want to destroy evidence is because it will hold them liable and culpable for the execution of an American citizen who was disarmed and then shot in the back. That's why. But what other administration or president or any politician would go into court publicly, openly, and make an argument that we want to be able to destroy evidence under color of law as a normal operating procedure in the course of American jurisprudence? That's fucking bananas, brother.
Yeah, it's completely insane. And I'll tell you, like, my father, He's a 34-year veteran of the FBI. So my dad is someone who's been maybe not in situations as intense as Renee Good and Nick Preddy's, and certainly I don't think ever would act the way that any of those agents did. But my dad is somebody who, and I talk about it this way because how my dad talks about it, but it's the law enforcement good shoot or bad shoot, right? Like sometimes an officer is going to have to discharge his weapon for one reason or another, and it's either good or it's bad, right? I kind of hate it, but I use it as a framework here. My dad immediately came out and was like, this is a bad shoot for everything on Alex Preddy. He was like, I want more information. I want more evidence. But from the beginning, he was like, absolutely not. And my dad voted for Trump all 3 times. Gives the benefit of the doubt to every law enforcement officer. And like, I don't believe that ICE are legitimate law enforcement officers. I think they're thugs and they're an embarrassment to people who wear a badge all across the country. But to my dad, for my dad to immediately be like, no, like that's how far gone they are. And I'll build on that with one more thing. If it is for both Renee Good and for Alex Preddy that the shooting of them is a quote good shoot, then there would be no reason to deny or obstruct an investigation into those. And they ruined the crime scene at Renee Good's before local law enforcement was able to get there. They ordered local law enforcement to leave the scene of Alex Preddy's, and they were told to fuck off by the local police department who secured the scene and secured the evidence and made sure that we got as much as we have. They're refusing to do the type of investigation that they have. Typically in these instances, I believe the FBI would step in to investigate. Where the hell is the FBI? DHS is handling this internally at a time when the whole world is watching because a 37-year-old man was murdered on the streets of an American city, executed by his own government.
Yeah.
So if it's a good shoot, if they're right, what are they doing and why?
Well, the other, just basic procedure that you hear about, you don't have to watch TV just to know that if you discharge your weapon in the course of your duties, you get put on desk duty until that can be looked at. Not only were they not, they say are on leave, but not only were they not just put on desk duty until they could get to the bottom of it, they were still in the streets.
Yes.
People, these masked armed agents of the state who were, some of them were applauding in the street as he was taking his last breath. These fucking ghouls. And this is all under the guise of civil enforcement of law. These aren't criminal laws, the enforcement of ICE, these immigration. This is a civil matter, and people are dying at the hands of Donald Trump's mass secret police. It's dystopian. This is fascism inside the house.
100% it is. And it's also, there's a reason that law enforcement is put on desk duty after they shoot someone. Because shooting and killing someone is one of the most psychologically difficult things that can happen to anybody, even if it's justified. If somebody breaks into your house and you, in the defense of your family, grab your firearm and you murder that person, even if it's the right thing to do, a normal person is going to be a little fucked up after that.
Yeah.
And if you're a law enforcement officer and your job is to go back out on the field, part of the reason you go on desk duty is, yes, they investigate it to make sure that you did the right thing and you were within the bounds of your authority and that you're not somebody who, had done something wrong like these guys clearly have, but also to make sure that you're psychologically okay, that you process it so that you're not trigger happy the next time you go out in a circumstance like that. So to send these guys right back out on the field, even if they're the right actions, which they absolutely weren't, is irresponsible by Greg Bavino and the rest of these guys. And for Homan to leave them on for another day or two is also wrong.
Yeah, the other element of this is the caliber of human being they are recruiting into the ranks of ICE right now. Some of the reporting has been that these people are functionally illiterate. They are barely high school graduates. They could not, many of them couldn't pass an open book test to qualify to be where you've got the answers right there literally at your fingertips, and they still couldn't pass. Some of them are sexually harassing female recruits. Some of them have to go and attend to court cases that are open gun charges, and they're still being welcomed into ICE because they want to ramp up this private army of Proud Boys for Donald Trump to do his bidding. There are nefarious actions that they are going to be leading to that don't just involve the immigration issue in America right now. And we're months away from that. But I would caution everybody to keep your head on a swivel, because we are in for a lot more hard times in this country. It's going to get worse before it gets better, I guess.
It's 100% right. Those are two things I say all the time. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And if you're going out there, you have to keep your head on a swivel, because these guys are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And they don't believe, like a regular law enforcement officer even if they think you've done something wrong, should believe it is their job to protect you too, to keep you safe, because their job is to the community.
On that point, I 2 days after Renee Good was murdered in the street, Brittany Page and I, we were in Minnesota. We flew to Minnesota to be on the ground, and we were outside the Whipple Federal Building protesting. I was in ICE faces, calling them all kinds of names that I won't say here on your program. And
you can say them. This is a curse-free zone.
Well,
or cursing zone.
I gave Packman some of the footage that I didn't air on my own show, and people were not happy with how aggressive I was being. But some of these ICE agents they roll their windows down as they pass the crowd of protesters, pointing into the back proudly to stir up the crowd, to mock the crowd. Look, I've got a detainee in the back here. Thanks for your support, guys. Listen, if they really had intention to do their job honorably and thought, look, I'm just abiding by the law. We're just enforcing the law. I got a job to do. I understand that people are going to protest. They have a different idea about it. That's their constitutional right. But I am an agent of the state. I am here honorably to protect and serve and see that the laws of our country are faithfully executed. They're not doing that. They are goading the public. They are trying to escalate things rather than de-escalate, which abso-fucking-lutely is their job, their duty, their solemn vow to support and defend the Constitution, not to rile people up and make a show of their fascism.
Well, and certainly not to act as Donald Trump's private police force, which is what it is. And to me, this is like a perfect storm of horrific stuff, which is that they have so thoroughly expedited the hiring process to the point where they're bringing in people who are unqualified for the job, as you've detailed here. We've got people, they're not going through enough training, by the way. My dad trained forever at Quantico before he was able to go be an FBI agent. Yeah. And these guys are getting 47 days of training. Then they're being put in situations where the training doesn't even cover in the first place, which would be, why are you policing protesters in the middle of the streets? That's not your job. That's the job of local law enforcement, so it shouldn't be happening. And then on top of that, they've been given such wide latitude and a broken culture by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. So when Donald Trump pardoned the January 6th insurrectionists, especially the cop beaters, it sent a message. You do my bidding, I'm going to have your back. You're going to get your pardon. And when they murdered Renee Good a few weeks ago, and J.D. Vance comes out and says, ICE officers have complete and total immunity for every action that they take, what do you think message that sends to an ICE agent or a Border Patrol agent out there? So that the next time they kill Alex Preddy, which is by far the most brazen thing I think I've ever seen law enforcement do on tape. I'm sure there are others and somebody will point one out.
Sure.
But it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And what's the next one going to look like?
Neither one of us are like your dad. We're not an expert in law enforcement,
right?
In the execution of warrants and fugitives and investigations. But it doesn't take an expert to be able to sit and watch a video where they disarm the man and then the rounds are fired. It strains credulity for anybody to witness.
Took his gun from him too. They'd already taken his gun.
Unbelievable.
It's awful, and it's the kind of thing that if you saw it happen in another country, we'd be decrying for a war crime. We'd be asking for the United Nations to step in. We'd be trying to be a moral leader, but under this president, we are not the moral leader. We are. This country right now is not in a good place. On that note, we could probably talk about this for hours, but I know we're kind of running up on time. I want to get into the last topic, which to me represents everything that's broken in Donald Trump's America, because maybe not everything, but it represents the corruption issue at the heart of the Trump administration here, which is Nicki Minaj appeared with Donald Trump today. She called herself his #1 fan. She said she doesn't care how many fans that she loses. She's saying this president's amazing, which she's already come out in support of Trump before, so this is not necessarily a new thing, but it's certainly the most vocal that she's been. I think it's the first time she's appeared directly with him and not with other members of the administration. And for her to do it,
they were literally holding hands on stage, Mike.
Right. And two things. One, if you watch the video, which I encourage people to do, I'm going to have a YouTube video up on it shortly, actually. The smug look on Trump's face because he's collected another person. And then Nicki Minaj is reading her statement like she's a freaking hostage.
Yeah.
And let's talk about why she's a hostage, and then I'll hand it to you, Jesse, which is that her husband needs a pardon because he forced himself on a 15-year-old girl at knife point. Her brother needs a pardon because he forced himself on a young woman, an underage girl. And he's serving 25 years to life in prison. And she's about to lose her $20 million home because she lost a lawsuit dealing with her private security. So she's financially in distress. Her husband's in distress. Her brother's in distress. And suddenly, at the height right now of Donald Trump's unpopularity in his second term, she's discovered Jesus. She's suddenly a conservative. She loves Donald Trump. It's insane. And it's corrupt. And it's obvious that she's angling for pardons. And it's obvious that they're paying her to do this. And it's some of the most embarrassing shit I've seen from a celebrity in a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know anything about Nicki Minaj. I think she's a singer, right?
She is. She has a couple of good songs. You've definitely heard them.
Yeah.
She's not Cardi B. Cardi B's better. Megan Thee Stallion's better, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I don't know much about her, but I do know that it really does signal a more systemic rot at the root of what Trump is and what Trump is about, especially this term, where it's like the White House is open for business. If you need a pardon, you pay, you get the pardon. If you, from CZ Zhang, the crypto guy, Binance guy, who as soon as they got the pardon, he went into business with Donald Trump's sons and allowed them to trade on his, I don't even know much about crypto. So, whatever that is.
Yeah, it was meme coin stuff. And it's difficult to explain in like 30 seconds.
It's so well known and publicized that all you got to do is cozy up to Donald Trump, flatter him a little bit, and you'll get whatever the president can offer relative to the powers of the presidency. That's fucking gross, brother.
It is. And there's a guy who, and I'm going to get the details wrong because I don't have his name offhand. I don't have my sheet of paper in front of me to read it from. I'm going to get so much more organized after watching this. I'm inspired by it.
Here's another one.
There you go. I have to blur that out when I put it up on YouTube. But there was a guy who got pardoned in the first Trump term for conning people out of like $100 million or something like that. And then he got pardoned. He's out. During the Biden years, he committed another con. Now Trump's president again. He was about to go to prison, and he gave Donald Trump another $1 million. He donated something like $5 million to MAGA Inc. And now he's back out, gets a pardon. And it may be a commutation, but it just gets out. And the other one this week, the one this week that made me want to tear my hair out, and I think this came out, it's probably been Monday that I saw this. They're nursing home executives, like big nursing home executives, donated $4.5 million to MAGA Inc. And in donating that $4.5 million, they weren't asking for a pardon for anything. They wanted a rule changed, a Biden-era rule that required them to hire more people to prevent elder abuse and neglect in their nursing homes.
Yeah.
So they traded your grandfather and your grandmother's life for $5 million. That's what it was worth to them. And how much money are they going to make because they don't have to hire those people anymore? That's how fucked up this is.
Yeah,
and it's happening in broad daylight.
It is the grift president publicly, which again, it is a remarkable thing. We are a laughing stock on a global stage. It's going to take a generation to earn back the trust of our peaceful allies who have stepped up when we needed it, when Article 5 was invoked after 9/11, and all of the European and Scandinavian nations sent thousands of troops to an illegal war in Iraq. They did it for us. And now we are betraying all of them because of the fucking grifter in chief. It's depressing.
Yep. And when you read about the deal,
to bring it full circle about how I was feeling, now I'm going to leave more depressed than when I arrived. So thank you for that.
Well, I apologize. Though that is probably a common feeling on this show. But when you really read up about how he sold out the United States to these Middle Eastern countries, to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and stuff like that, it is so depressing. Also, he can build his new shiny buildings, like put billions of dollars in his pocket. We've never seen anything like it. And I'll add one more thought, and I'll give you the final word before we close this, Jesse, is corruption existed before Donald Trump. Let's be clear about that. Like, Washington was fundamentally broken. And a lot of the reason that Donald Trump got here is because we've been drifting so far off course in so many different ways that now it's caught up to us, with the worst possible person, with the worst possible temperament, with the worst possible values in the White House. But he's now exposing everything that's broken with our politics, with our economy, with everything else. And that's why, like, if Democrats in 2026 and in 2028, and I'm yelling at my clients about this every single day, don't run on the most aggressive anti-corruption platform that has ever existed in the history of the United States, I will be deeply disappointed in them, because we are exposing everything that's broken in this country, and we have the ability to fix it. Insider trading in Congress, the power of the presidential pardon, the revolving door, money in politics. We can solve all of that stuff when we get back into power. And I believe Democrats will win in 26. And I believe we're going to elect a Democratic president in 28, as long as we don't nominate somebody toxic to the electorate. which, I have a few thoughts on that for another show, Jesse. But like, we can do that, but we have to be ready to do the work. And I'm not 100% sure the party's there yet. I'll give you final words.
Yeah, listen, as far as the party is concerned, I can't speak to that, but I can tell you this. Exposing, you're using these words, exposing the corruption is one thing. All kinds of times there's been an expose of corruption in the government. It didn't really go anywhere. The reason I think this is a sea change in the minds of Americans, Mike, is because just normies, everyday moms and dads, uncles and grandmas and grandpas, they are recognizing that, oh shit, all of the things that the people that I used to think were an alarmist were screaming about, they're all coming true right before my eyes. We need to change. People are waking up to the corruption that is being exposed and has been exposed. And that's the metric. You talked about polls. The Economist just released an article. Apparently, I spend all my time reading articles, but
good for you. I read tweets, so you're ahead of me.
Donald Trump's highest approval rating is in my home. I live in Washington, D.C., but my home state where I was raised of Idaho, and it's in the 30s. Donald Trump is underwater in every single state, including the MAGA states right now. People are fed the fuck up with the corruption, with the failed promises, and the direction that our country is headed. And I, for one, I'm here for it, that they've woken up. And I hope that you're correct about 2026 and looking even more into the future with 2028.
Yep. And I welcome everybody back who's sick of this shit. Like, I'm mad at them for voting that way in 2024, but I'll welcome them back because we need them right now.
We do need to
win. Everybody, this has been awesome. 1,500 people in the middle. And at the end of the day, really appreciate everybody. This is Jesse Dollemore. Go follow him on YouTube. He's amazing. He's served our country. He's serving our country now by making his voice heard. Follow him on Substack. Become a paid subscriber if you can. If you want to support me, I'm Mike Nellis. This is Endless Urgency. It's $8 a month or $80 a year if you'd like to support the work that we're doing. Otherwise, the content will remain free. So I know people are struggling right now. Don't tip into your savings for this. We'll figure it out, and I have a day job. But Jesse, thank you so much for joining, and thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, Mike.
We are only 1 year into this administration, to this Trump presidency, and already cabinet secretaries are giving excuses that Nazis gave following World War II. Kristi Noem is being quoted as saying in this Axios article that I'm getting ready to read some of to you, that I'll just read the quote. Everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen Miller. I'm just following orders, says someone who's having a flame war with Stephen Miller, who is, as I've been saying for months and months and months, and is verified in this article, the shadow president. He is certainly the actual Secretary of Homeland Security. He is the actual Secretary of State. He is the actual Attorney General. These three cabinet officials answer to Stephen Miller. He's the brains behind the operation of President of the United States. That's why I call him the shadow president. And it's all verified in this remarkable article and reporting from Axios. Let me tell you, it is refreshing that there are some trickle out of facts and reporting that come to light sometimes that prove the things that we've been saying for months and months and months. By we, I mean you and me and the cohort of independent people in this journalist analysis commentary space. It's a big deal that they are not. Well, obviously, they're not competent, but they're also not confident in what they're doing. Get a load of this headline. Blame game erupts over Trump team's false claims Alex Preddy sought massacre. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is under fire for issuing misleading and incendiary information that claimed immigration agents killed an armed Minnesota protester Saturday because he wanted to massacre them. That language has now become the source of controversy in the Trump administration. White House officials are blaming Customs and Border Patrol for furnishing inaccurate information, while others are targeting Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top Trump advisor. 6 sources with knowledge of the situation told Axios. Now, we know that there's consternation because Stephen Miller is sending his guy to replace Kristi Noem's guy on the scene in Minneapolis. Greg Bavino was the favorite of Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski, Donald Trump's former campaign manager and now assistant to Kristi Noem, the woman he is reportedly rumored to, I think it's pretty safe to say, had an affair with and continues to have an affair with Kristi Noem, you know, the Family Values Party and everything. So the other thing I want to say about that, the replacement of Bavino with Tom Homan, is that there are a lot of people out there like, oh, this is a win. This is so great. It's going to be so much better now that Homan's on the scene. No, it's not. No, it's not. Unequivocally, no, it's not. The mushmouth dildo with ears, Tom Homan, is just as much of a sociopath, a violent ne'er-do-well as Greg Bavino. He doesn't dress in the utilities and the combat helmet. He's not cosplaying like he's some kind of an urban assault warrior. But still, the policies and the procedures that are being undertaken by these masked secret police are going to continue under Tom Homan. This isn't some win for the people of Minneapolis at all. It's an optics thing. And it's Donald Trump trying to save himself from embarrassment that this is an unmitigated disaster, and normal Americans everywhere recognize it. I'm not talking about activists. I'm not talking about people like me with some kind of a political position. Just independents and regular run-of-the-mill people are taking to the streets by the tens of thousands in Minneapolis to show their displeasure with fascism. They are recognizing it as what it is. The episode illustrates the confusion that gripped the administration after the Saturday shooting death of Minnesota protester Alex Preddy, and it showed the influence of Miller, Trump's close and longest-serving political advisor, whose dominion in the White House far exceeds his title. That now they're going to get into the thing that I've been saying for months and months and months when I call him the shadow president, and many people push back. Oh, that's not true. You're just being bombastic. You're just being an alarmist. He doesn't actually run these other cabinet secretaries' jobs. He's not actually doing that. Well, now mainstream media is catching on. Again, Trump's close and longest-serving political advisor whose dominion in the White House far exceeds his title. Miller's power extends to de facto oversight of Kristi Noem, though she's a cabinet secretary who technically outranks him. And then here's that quote again from Kristi Noem, quote, "Everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen Miller," Noem told a person who relayed her remarks to Axios. She's saying, I'm a cabinet secretary, I'm the Secretary of Homeland Security, and everything I've done has come at the direction of Trump, obviously, and Stephen Miller. He's bossing her around. He's giving her directions. He's giving her marching orders. And the reason she's willing to say this is because she does not want to find herself in handcuffs, behind bars, on trial for crimes against humanity while she's exercising, she's executing the assassination of citizens under people who are under her employ. The buck stops with her. The buck technically, he has plausible deniability here, technically doesn't stop with Stephen Miller. It stops with her. Immediately after Preddy was fatally shot in Minneapolis about 10:05 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday, administration officials in Washington knew they had a potential disaster on their hands, but had little information. The officers directly involved in the shooting all shut up and got lawyers real quick, so there wasn't a lot of information, one source briefed on the statement said. The Customs and Border Patrol officers on the ground furnished a report that, White House officials told Axios, left officials with the belief that Preddy had brandished a gun. Miller heard gun and knew what the narrative would be. Preddy came to massacre cops, a source briefed on the process of assembling the press statement said. Quote, any early comments made were based on information sent to the White House through CBP, Miller told Axios in response to an earlier version of his story in which others blamed him for the massacre statement. He's the one who went out and took it to Twitter. He's the one who said it. And now he's trying to blame Greg Bavino, who's the commander at large of the Customs and Border Patrol. because that's not his guy. Tom Homan, the mush-mouthed dildo with ears, is his guy. This is a flame war. They are trying to blame one another, pointing fingers. But let me tell you, Stephen Miller will come out of this unharmed. He's not going anywhere. He's the brains of the operation. Donald Trump is not going to fire the shadow president. Donald Trump is not going to fire the de facto Secretary of Homeland Security, Stephen Miller. Donald Trump is not going to fire the de facto Department of State head, Stephen Miller. He's not going to fire the de facto Attorney General, Stephen Miller. Non-lawyer Stephen Miller, who gives Pam Bondi her marching orders too. It will be Pam Bondi gone before it's Stephen Miller. It'll be Kristi Noem gone before it's Stephen Miller. Trust me when I say that. Now, this article, I'm not going to read the rest of it. I just want to read one part to you. There's one part in here that really does lay bare that Stephen Miller is panicking right now, even though he's got to feel pretty secure in his position. He's panicking because he's trying to cover. There's two versions of this article. They updated the title even after they talked to Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller is spinning a yarn here, lying and propagandizing what took place, trying to put the blame on Customs and Border Patrol, trying to put the blame on Bavino, even though the two statements that were made by Kristi Noem and Greg Bavino were virtually identical, outside of changing like 3 or 4 words in the entire statement that I played last week. They're the same. They match up almost identically to the second. And they were given to them by Stephen Miller, but he is trying to cover. Get a load of this. Miller said the Minnesota operation didn't follow the guidelines established by the White House in the aftermath of the January 7th shooting of another Minneapolis demonstrator, Renee Good. Specifically, Miller said, Bavino's crew was supposed to divide its force into 2 groups. One unit was supposed to handle the arrests of specifically targeted criminal aliens, and the other squad was in charge of crowd control to keep, quote, disruptors from interfering. Quote, the White House provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota for force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between arrest teams and the disruptors, Miller said. We are evaluating why the Customs and Border Patrol team may not have been following that protocol. All of this is throwing another person under the bus. No one's taking accountability. No one's taking responsibility. It's all just a bunch of cowards who dispatched, I believe, an execution squad into the streets of Minneapolis. They've killed Renee Good. They killed Alex Preddy. And now they are worried about prosecution. And that's why I believe Kristi Noem said that everything I've done has been at the direction of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller. I'm just following orders like a good little Nazi, she says. What do you think? I would appreciate your feedback here. Let's do it in the comments. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. Wild, insane times. Be genuine. Take care of one another. I believe certain facts are coming to light when you piece all this different reporting together that paint a picture of the very, very likely, obvious possibility, but probability that Alex Preddy's execution came at the hands of ICE agents and CBP officers who knew who he was and they were targeting him. Said another way, he was on an ICE kill list. Let's go through this and you tell me what you think. I have 2 separate pieces of reporting here, one from the New Republic, one from CNN. Let me read you just the headlines and then we'll get to the CNN article. The New Republic article is Trump team demands right to destroy evidence in Alex Preddy shooting. A judge ruled over the weekend that the government is barred from destroying or altering evidence related to the investigation. The Trump administration is fighting in court so that they can, under color of law, with permission from a federal judge, destroy evidence in the execution of an American citizen at the hands of masked secret police. Why would they want to destroy evidence? Why would they not want to vindicate their officers who did nothing wrong with evidence? Cover up. And the CNN headline, which we will start with, Alex Preddy broke rib in confrontation with federal agents a week before death, sources say. And in this article, they highlight that ICE and these federal goons, these secret police of Donald Trump, are creating databases and lists, and they are tracking cell phones and creating a network of which cell phones were where and at what times, and then where'd they go and who were they also near. It is a nightmare of Fourth Amendment violations, and they are tracking protesters. They are tracking not only protesters, but observers, people who are just there to record, people who are just there to chronicle, which is what Alex Preddy was. He was not a protester. He was an observer, a peaceful, quiet, uninvolved observer just there to film. And he was on a list. They broke his rib just the week before in an earlier incident, and then I believe targeted him on the street because they knew he was there based on all of their surveillance. And look, we've seen the video of, and if you haven't, I'll just play it real quick. It's very brief, like 20 seconds of an ICE agent getting the plate of a car and then telling the woman that we're putting you on a database. We're creating a database and you're going to be considered a domestic terrorist.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
So with that in mind, let me get into this about the surveillance of Alex Preddy, the very possible putting him on a list and then targeting him for execution. Remarkable, wild stuff, far worse than I thought it would be in this second term. Alex Preddy broke rib in confrontation with federal agents a week before his death, sources say. Federal immigration officers have been collecting personal information about protesters and agitators in Minneapolis, sources told CNN, and had documented details about Alex Preddy before he was shot to death on Saturday. 1, he is not a protester. He was not a protester. Let's stop saying it. Let's get our reporting correct. Words are critical in moments like this, CNN. You should know better. It's unclear how Preddy first came to the attention of federal authorities, but sources told CNN that about a week before his death, he suffered a broken rib when a group of federal officers tackled him while he was protesting their attempt to detain other individuals. Come on, CNN. He wasn't a protester. A memo sent earlier this month to agents temporarily assigned to the city asked them to capture all images, license plates, identifications, and general information on hotels, agitators, protesters, etc., so we can capture it all in one consolidated form, according to correspondence reviewed by CNN. Preddy's previous encounter is another reflection of the aggressive approach federal agents are taking with observers and protesters, a philosophy underscored by the request for agents to collect information about the protesters whose activities are broadly protected by the First Amendment. So you do know the difference between a protester and an observer, CNN. Why don't you just do that to begin with? It's a failure of journalism. It's a failure of living up to your protection by the Constitution in the First Amendment of protecting the free and fair press. Come on. Preddy's name was known to federal agents, according to a source, though it's unclear whether the new intake form was used to share his information. It's also not clear, says CNN, whether the federal agents who encountered Preddy on Saturday recognized him before they confronted him, eventually wrestling him to the ground, taking a gun from his waistband, and then fatally shooting him, execution style, in the back after having taken his gun that he was legally in possession of, not brandishing, not showing. Everybody on the scene didn't even know he had a gun until afterward. They knew he was there. They spotted him in the crowd. They very likely were surveilling the fact that his cell phone was out, and they knew that he was there based on the metadata and the cell phone towers. They knew. They recognized him from breaking his rib earlier. They were out for retribution in this day of reckoning that Donald Trump called it against Minneapolis. One more paragraph here. Some Trump officials have spoken publicly about the idea of creating a database of protesters, though it's not clear what ICE has done with the information collected through the forms circulated to agents in Minneapolis. Now, when you put all of this together with the reporting from the New Republic, it gets very, very dystopian, Orwellian. This is surveillance shit. This is goon squad shit. Unbelievable here. Again, the headline from the New Republic about Donald Trump desiring nothing more than to destroy evidence. Trump team demands right to destroy evidence in Alex Pretty shooting. A judge ruled over the weekend that the government is barred from destroying or altering evidence related to the investigation. Donald Trump's administration is asking for permission to destroy evidence in its so-called investigation into the killing of Alex Pretty by Customs and Border Patrol agents. The Trump administration filed a legal motion Monday opposing a federal judge's order preventing it from tampering with evidence related to Pretty's death, the New York Times reported. While it's not uncommon for the Trump administration to oppose judges' orders against it, this case seems particularly unnecessary and suspicious. U.S. District Judge Eric Tostrad issued an order Saturday barring federal agents from destroying or altering evidence. Why, pray tell, would the Trump administration, would the Customs and Border Patrol, would these ICE, would these masked secret police, why would they want to destroy evidence that would otherwise exonerate them? They did nothing wrong, right? They were following protocol. They were doing exactly as they were told, just following orders. Well, then the evidence should prove that out. Instead, we have a nightmare situation unfolding where they knew who he was. They surveilled him. They targeted him on the scene. They executed him. And then they endeavored to destroy all the evidence of their crimes. It is worse than I even had suspected it would be in this second term. It's certainly, at the very least, more dystopian this early on. Like, I thought that this would be like in the waning months of the Donald Trump second term, it would be this bad. Not within 1 year, where they're executing in the back of the head citizens of the United States for merely opposing the policies of Donald Trump, merely recording the masked secret police force of Donald Trump, the goon squad of Donald Trump. That puts you on the list. They want violence. They want an uprising, a revolt of the citizenry, so Donald Trump can wheel in the Marines and wheel in the army to absolutely usurp the constitutional rights, the civil rights, the human rights of Americans and immigrants alike. It's what they want. It's why I believe they are targeting certain members. It's why Renee Good, when she was murdered, Jonathan Ross had gun in one hand and cell phone, not body cam, cell phone in the other. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me more about how I'm an alarmist. Tell me what you think. Comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054, and you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Listen, if you support this work, if you appreciate what I do, if I bring you value on a video by video basis or just once in a while, and it's worth $2 a month to you, please consider supporting this work. Patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast is the best choice. You can also, right here on the YouTube, become a channel member by clicking the join button and helping out. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. You've very likely already seen the attack on Ilhan Omar yesterday. An unhinged, freak of a Trump supporter who sprayed her with something out of a syringe that I don't know. They said it was stinky. Likely, I mean, I have no idea, but it seems to me, I'm not going to speculate. It didn't seem to be a toxic substance. Maybe like, I guess I am going to speculate. I'm doing a Donald Trump here. I'm not going to say it, then I say it. Like a buck spray, like a deer piss. Well, you know, when you're hunting, you want to lure in deer, you use deer musk, buck scent, and it's really potent, really stinky. And it seems like maybe what was in the syringe. I have no idea. Absolutely just wild speculation on my part. Get that out of the way. But let me tell you what gave me hope. Man, I tell you what. You ever watch something and you get like joy, but so much joy, you're like your system is overwhelmed with joy that you get a little teary-eyed. That happened to me, and it's happened to me multiple times watching the different angles of this attack on Ilhan Omar. And not because she was attacked, but because she dealt with it with resolve, with grit, with fearlessness. And that is what I want to talk about a little bit today, is that Donald Trump, he reviles her. She lives rent-free in his tiny pea brain. Her name is on the tip of his tongue constantly. He calls her garbage in cabinet meetings. It is remarkable that she just, again, rent-free in his head. And it's because he hates about her what he hates about himself. He hates that she embodies boldness, fearlessness. She is unafraid, undeterred by what took place yesterday. So much so that the show must go on. The press conference must continue. We must address the things that are important to America, and I'm not going to be intimidated and stop what I'm doing. And Donald Trump hates that. We've seen when there was not even an assassination attempt, just someone that spooked Secret Service, and Donald Trump is like, oh, and he freaks out because he's a little weakling. He's not the alpha man that they all want to act like he is. He is just a coward, just a weak and feckless, insecure coward. And he hates that she is everything he wishes he could be. She puts it on display just naturally that she is what he cannot be. Let's play this. This is an angle you may not have seen. This is from C-SPAN that shows not only the attack, but also the aftermath. Watch her not shirk, not even be startled by it. She immediately goes toward the attacker. It is so wonderful. We need more Ilhan Omars in the Congress. We certainly need more Ilhan Omars in the country. Watch this, and then let's talk about what transpired on the other side.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must resign or face impeachment. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
No, we'll go.
No, we will continue.
No. Ilhan, you need to go get checked. No,
we will continue. These fucking assholes are not going to get away with it.
You need to go get checked. No, you don't know what
No.
That's whatever it is smells so bad. She needs to go get checked. I don't know
that's
what that was.
That's what they want. Please don't let them know.
It's not about him, Ilhan. Ilhan, it's not about him. It's about your safety. No, he sprayed something on you. You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible.
We're going to keep talking. Just give me 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes. I beg you. Please don't let them have the show. 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 Here is the reality that people like this ugly man don't understand. We are Minnesota strong, and we will stay resilient in the face of whatever they might throw at us. Everybody settle down. I'm going to finish my remarks. It is important for me to continue to lead my Democratic colleagues in demanding her resignation.
Now, look, as great as that is, here's another angle, very quick, like 30 seconds, maybe not even that. Another angle where it is, look, I've been in hairy situations, right? You've probably been in hairy situations. A lot of people, and it's not a knock against them, they don't react with boldness. They don't run toward the danger. This is such a trope in America about first responders and shit. We need to give them our respect and gratitude because normal people run away from danger and our cops and firefighters, they run toward it. Like, you hear that all the time. That's what you just witnessed with Ilhan Omar. You just watched that. It's remarkable. And so when CNN caught up to her and they asked her, like, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah, I'm not afraid by this. I've survived wars. I'm definitely not going to be deterred by intimidation by some dipshit, some Donald Trump devotee who's going to try to intimidate me. That's not going to work on me. And if you'd seen that particular response from CNN and you hadn't seen the other thing, you'd think, well, yeah, after the fact, of course she's saying that. But it is in her nature. It is in her DNA. It is the very character that she walks around on earth with to run toward an attacker. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Watch when CNN caught up to her in the hallway and her resoluteness.
Representative Omar, are you okay?
You know, I'm gonna go figure if I am, but I feel okay. I feel that it is important for people, whether they are in elected office or not, to allow these people to intimidate us, to make us not fight for our constituents and for the country we love. And as I said, you know, I've survived war, and I'm definitely going to survive intimidation and whatever these people think they can throw at me, because I'm built that way.
Thank you.
So one, this is the attacker, this Andy dipshit, who follows all kinds of the worst on Twitter. Libs of TikTok and Benny Johnson and the dead Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, Tim Pool, another coward. It is remarkable to me that Donald Trump continues to act like he is not the cause. He is not the inciting incident. He is not the catalyst for political violence. Because even when he's asked about this, let's not do that. Let me play something for you. This happened, I think at the beginning of December, when he's either in a cabinet meeting. I'm going to have to find the clip. My notes only go so far. Free form here. He's either in a cabinet meeting or in the Oval Office, and he's talking about Somalis, and he's talking about Ilhan Omar. You know, she's never on his mind, is what he told Rachel Scott yesterday. I don't even think about her, even though he's constantly talking about her. This is from over a month ago in December, where he is talking about her being garbage and how she needs to go back to her country, even though she's a citizen of this country and has been here since she was a child. This is why unhinged maniacs take to violence, because they hear the president of the United States say, she shouldn't be here. She is garbage. When you dehumanize someone, it's easy, or easier in the minds of a psychopath, to think, well, they're not worthy of anything. It's not going to harm anything if I hurt them. Watch Donald Trump incite violence.
You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
That's what he wants. He wants it, because he would love her eliminated. Because again, he feels bad that she embodies all of the things that he cannot be. That in the moment, when something not even as scary, no one even approached him, he just got spooked by Secret Service or somebody in the crowd spooked Secret Service, and Donald Trump panicked like a frightened little lamb being protected and surrounded by his Secret Service team. This was in 2016 before he was even president.
So, folks, here's what happens. I will call up Carrier, the president, because I have to do it myself. I know it's not...
Oh, wow. And look, a lot of people will say this. They'll say, well, this is all just rhetoric from Donald Trump. And when the rubber hits the road, he's really going to be supportive of somebody who was attacked because he himself was attacked and he understands it better than anybody, right? Well, that's not the case, because when Donald Trump was asked about this by Rachel Scott from ABC, he says, well, I don't think about her. I don't care. I don't care about that. This is what she tweeted about an exchange with Donald Trump about it. Just spoke with President Trump. I asked him if he'd seen a video of Representative Omar being attacked and sprayed by a substance. Quote, no, I don't think about her. I think she's a fraud, which is just rich. Donald Trump was literally convicted of 34 felony counts of fraud, our felon president, and he calls her a fraud. It's just too much. No, I don't think about her. I think she's a fraud. I really don't think about that. She probably had herself sprayed knowing her, the president said. I asked again if he'd seen the video. I haven't seen it. No. I hope I don't have to bother. Well, you certainly don't have to bother, Donald Trump. Just one more thing for you to be afraid of, you little weakling. You cowering little simp. You gentle little lamb when someone was just in the vicinity of you. Come on, man. We need more Ilhan Omars. We need more Ilhan Omars. Maybe she can give some kind of a conference or a tutorial to other members of Congress how to not be cowards, how to stand up for what is right, how to represent a constituency well. We need more of that. What do you think? I welcome you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I will ask one more time, please. If you are on the fence about supporting, if you have been in the past, do two things for me. One, subscribe. It is free to do so. Like and follow the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I would really appreciate that. But if you are given value, if I provide you value or information or reassurance, or if you like my take or just generally the cut of my stupid jib, please consider supporting this work and help me produce these videos on a daily basis. Go to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast and become a Patreon supporter. That's a website where you can support other creators out there who do things that you appreciate. I support a few. And it's a great website. It really is great. They take a lot less money than YouTube. They take like 5% because we've been on Patreon since like 2015, 2014. But if you want to stay in the ecosystem of something you're familiar with, YouTube works. It works. They take 30%, I think, maybe 35%. But if that's what you're willing to do, I would appreciate the support. Become a channel member by clicking the join button below. I would appreciate it very much. Just consider it. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be more like Ilhan Omar in your life. Be genuine and take care of one another.